So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Now, so the first story we're going to talk about is another little murder mystery. The last one that I did about Jonathan Luna, that got a lot of positive results. I actually like murder mysteries more than the gruesome true crime stuff. So we'll probably start seeing some more murder mystery stuff on Dead Rabbit Radio. So this one is the death of Henry McCabe. Now this happened in 2015. So very, very recent. He was 32 years old. He had separated from his wife not too long before his death, unfortunately. And so he was having a hard time at work. He was having a hard time just in his personal life in general. He went out with a couple friends to go drinking. And what happens is at the end of the night, his one friend, William Kennedy, Henry's like, hey man, just drop me off at this gas station. Maybe he wanted to buy more liquor. But it's like 2 a.m. His buddy drives him to, because his buddy wasn't totally sloshed. This guy was super drunk, Henry. Henry gets dropped off at a gas station at 2 a.m. Disappears. They don't know what happened to him. Now, 2 months later, his body is found in a lake 4 miles away from the gas station. They had already been looking for him, and they had already been trying to investigate, and they were talking to William Kennedy, they were talking to his wife that he'd recently separated from, and they had some clues to go off of, but it wasn't until they found the body, because, they could have thought, well, maybe he just ran away. They were investigating it as a suspicious missing person, because they were like, this guy's basically at that point was too drunk to run away. But anyway, so after 2 months had passed, they do find his body. He had reportedly had no cuts or wounds to him. He drowned. The area by the lake was densely wooded, and that was another suspicious thing. Like, how does a drunk guy, walk 4 miles from the gas station? Well, I guess a drunk guy can walk 4 miles from a gas station to a lake. But apparently this area, Rush Lake. Okay, and I should have said this earlier. This takes place in Minnesota. So this is Rush Lake in Minnesota. Mounds View, the city of Mounds View, Minnesota. So, anyways, they find his body, drowned, no cuts or wounds. The friend ends up saying, I did drop him off at a gas station, but I told you the wrong gas station. I actually dropped him off at this other gas station. So it was closer to the lake, which is a weird detail of it. Now, obviously, William Kennedy was a suspect for quite a while. The police had suspects. At this point, they've kind of ruled him out. So the other friend who was with them, he had Henry McCabe's wallet on him when the police talked to him. And so he was a suspect. And the friend was like, oh, no, I took his wallet so he couldn't buy more drinks. So that's actually interesting because why was he dropped off? Then definitely why was he dropped off at the gas station? Maybe he thought he had his wallet on him. But the case is only about 3 years old. There have been no arrests made. He's just dead. Now, you're like, Jason, that's kind of mysterious, but that's not like Dead Rabbit Radio mysterious. Like, that's just like a guy died and no one knows why. Well, when the police, again, the reason why the police were investigating it more as a suspicious missing person case was because the night of his disappearance, he called up his estranged wife, but the recording is pretty chilling.
It's a voicemail unlike anything you've ever heard before. There are 2 minutes worth of noises, bizarre ones, but very little actual talking. Authorities confirmed the disturbing middle-of-the-night call came from Henry McCabe's cell phone. It was Labor Day, September 7th at 2:28 in the morning. McCabe's worried wife heard the message.
His and my cell phone connected.
Minnesota Community Policing Services is a nonprofit agency and acts as a go-between with police and the Liberian community. The leader is trying to help the family make some sense of this recording.
The growls turned to high-pitched moans.
Like he's moaning in pain.
Like moaning in pain.
The tortured grunts suddenly stop. There is silence. Then someone, either Henry or another person, says, "Stop it."
I try to picture where he was, what it might have been like, what circumstances would have made him sound like that.
So that was a news report about the voicemail. The voicemail is creepy. There have been speculation that there is a gunshot heard during the voicemail, which I didn't really hear. And at the end of the voicemail, apparently someone says stop it. They don't know if it's Henry McCabe or somebody else there. We hear like a growling or like some sort of animal noise, which that's the creepiest part of it. Now, it's possible that he was so drunk he was mumbling, but the noises don't necessarily sound like it's trying to say anything. It just sounds like it's some sort of beast. It's possible that he or his phone or both are falling and it's kind of like going through the grass and that's possible. Could have been an animal after him. Could have been like, I mean, let's be honest. It sounds like a monster. It sounds like a monster. Now, I'm not saying 100% it is a monster, but it sounds like a monster. It sounds like he was trying to get away from something and dialed his wife, and this is basically getting his last words. It's possible that he first was called his wife, and then this incident happened. It's possible he was calling his wife because he knew that he wasn't going to make it out of this situation alive. It's possible that he called his wife and fell down a hill, but we don't know. We just don't know. That's the mystery. That's the creepy part of it. A young man passing away, being drunk, his life kind of falling apart, and then drowning. That's just sad. This is still sad. It's still sad because he died and all that stuff did happen. He was having a hard time with his life, but what was going on with that voicemail? Now, I will say this, as a skeptic, the one thing that concerns me about this story, there is no other copy of this voicemail that I could find online except for this news report. Normally, when we get weird voicemails, people, like, there'll be news reports on the weird voicemails or on the weird recordings, and then you can also find the raw recording yourself somewhere on YouTube or somewhere online. This recording was only broadcast on this show. It's never been released to the public. So I find that a little suspicious. Not saying that it's completely fake, but there could be stuff before or after the voicemail we hear on the news report that totally explains it. Where he's like, hey, honey, I really love you. I'm falling down a hill. And they cut that part out. So I am a little skeptical that the only... And when I'm looking online for it, other people are saying, hey, has anyone ever found the raw audio? Like, has anyone have the audio that wasn't broadcast, that doesn't have the announcer talking in it? So I'm a little skeptical, but that aside, creepy. Walking down the street alone at night in an area that's densely wooded and hearing that, whatever was making that noise, hearing that behind you, screw drowning, I would just die of a heart attack. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.